video is sponsored by Motion VFX. The Osmo Pocket 3 is one of the most versatile cameras for anybody who's looking for a quick and easy way to get high quality, stable videos. But what if we could supercharge the Pocket 3 to be even better? Well, today I'm gonna show you some of my favorite accessories that'll make you and your Osmo Pocket 3 downright unstoppable. Let's get into it. All right, so heads up, this video is not sponsored by DJI or any of the companies who make any of these accessories. I purchased all of this stuff with my own money, sometimes multiple versions of similar products to determine which ones were worth recommending. And everything that I talk about will be linked in the description of this video. So this first one isn't necessarily my favorite. That one I'm gonna save until number 3 on this list. However, it is probably the most important, and that is these neutral density filters, or VNDs. So the reason that these are so important is that we ideally want to lock our shutter speed at 1/double our frame rate in order to get the most pleasing motion blur or the most cinematic image. To do this, we swipe over from the right and tap on exposure and then set that to M, and then select 1 over your current frame rate. So right now I'm in 24 frames per second. So 2 times 24 is 48. We'll round up and set that to 1/50. If you're shooting 30 frames per second, we want to do 1/60. 60 frames per second, we want to do 1/120, etc. I usually also set my ISO to an auto range between 50 and 400 as well. But if you want a more in-depth breakdown of all of my Osmo Pocket 3 settings, let me know in the comments and we'll work on that video very soon. Now, the issue with locking your shutter speed is if we go into a bright area, suddenly everything is blown out. That's why we use these VNDs, which are kind of like sunglasses for your camera. And the variable part means that they're like transition sunglasses in that we can make them darker and brighter by twisting the front of the filter. So now you basically just want to use that filter to adjust how bright or dark your footage will be. So why these VNDs in particular? Well, the ones I've chosen are from K&F, and they have both a 1 to 5 stop and a 5 to 9 stop version. You could also buy them in a pair if you wanted to. The main reason I love these compared to others I've tested is how very slim and low profile they are, which is awesome because it allows the gimbal to fully close with the filter still attached. A lot of the other ones out there protrude too much, so this can't happen, which can either lead to you scratching the filter or the filter gets bumped and falls off. Now, one issue with most VNDs, and these are no exception, is that if you twist them too much, you start to get some banding. So I recommend sticking to 1 stop below the maximum rating for each filter to avoid this. So the 1 to 5 stop, go from 1 to 4, and then you switch up to the 5 to 9. One other issue that some people have with the Pocket 3 is that the field of view is a little bit too narrow for vlogging, and often you want to show your viewers a little bit more of the context around you. Well, in comes this little wide angle lens attachment, which is also from K&F. So it also just magnetizes onto the front. This takes your effective field of view from around 20mm full frame equivalent to a 14mm full frame equivalent. So if you're doing any vlogging style shooting, I would highly recommend picking up one of these as well. Now, the downside to this is it is too large, so it cannot fold up completely. And then it also sticks too far out. So if you were to add a ND filter on the top here, the issue there is it sticks out too far, so you start to get some vignetting on the corner. So you cannot use these in conjunction with the wide angle lens. So there is a little bit of give and take there. But something that has absolutely zero give and take is this next one. It is far and away my favorite accessory. So this is the BRDRC magnetic quick release adapter. And let me just show you how sick this thing is. So it clamps around the bottom of the Pocket 3, and it does so in a way that gives you just enough clearance for the standard cover. So this can still go on, which is great. And it also has clearance for the micro SD card as well. And then you have this little back 180-degree swiveling stand.
But Ken, what's so cool about that?
Well, for one, you could holster it in your pocket, which is just kind of fun, but it also allows you to set it on the table or like kind of, just like use it as like a little kickstand or something. Even better, the back of this stand is magnetic. So maybe you want to stick it to a wall or a pole or your thing right here. boom, just stick it pretty much anywhere that's magnetic. But wait, there's more. The stand is also an Arca Swiss tripod mount. So you can mount it to like 99% of tripods. And if that's still not enough, there's a little GoPro style fold down mount here. So you could put this on like a GoPro pole, for example. Any GoPro style accessory you could think of, you could attach this thing to it. Honestly, you could like even attach like an Osmo Action to the Pocket 3. Get a little dual setup if you wanted to. And there's even one of those Osmo Action magnetic connection things. So if you want to clip it to any of those adapters, you could do that as well. Like I have this little POV style necklace with one of those Osmo Action magnetic connections, and then I can just click this right on here, and now we have a hands-free POV setup. Or you could get a hot shoe mount, put that on your camera, and then you take your Osmo Pocket, pop that on the top. You could do vertical filming on your Osmo Pocket, and then do horizontal stuff on your actual camera. Don't worry, I will link to all of those things in the description as well, so some bonus accessories for you. But they literally thought of everything with this little adapter mount thing. Now the only downside is that they currently only sell this on AliExpress, which I know is a little sketchy for some people, but it arrived to me here in Utah in like 3 days, so hopefully it will be fine for you as well. So if you have a Pocket 3, you're also probably editing your videos after the fact. So the great thing about the Pocket 3 is how easy it is to use, but the editing process can still be cumbersome, especially when it comes to animated text and motion graphics. My go-to solution for this, and the way I've made all of my graphics for years, is Motion VFX. It's basically this big suite of plugins for DaVinci Resolve, Final Cut, Premiere Pro, After Effects that allow you to super easily create customizable motion graphics, titles, callouts, color grades, and then a whole bunch of other tools. There are a ton to choose from, and if I went through all of them, this video would take forever, but one of my new favorites is the M-Titles Refined. It allows you to add these super polished, clean animated titles in just a few clicks. And they're still fully customizable too, so you can change your color or your font or your size, you name it. But if that elegant style isn't for you or isn't what you're looking for with your Pocket 3, they all have dozens of other packs to choose from. Like I often use the M-How-To plugin since I'm often doing stuff like this, like teaching you stuff and new tools and things like that. And I like more of that kind of handwritten look that that pack has. There's honestly so many more plugin packs, and I'm pretty much use Motion VFX for all of my motion graphics now. There's like 40 to 100 different effects in each pack. So I'll link to those in the description where they have breakdowns of each pack individually. So you can take a look at those, decide which one's the best for you, and then go ahead and get some of those. And a huge thank you to Motion VFX for sponsoring today's video. So this next one is a little off the wall, but hear me out. If I had one complaint about the Pocket 3, it would be that there's no way to not use the gimbal. Like you can press and hold the joystick and then it like kind of locks in one point. But if I just want to like not use the gimbal at all, there's no way to do that. DJI, if you're listening, there's no reason why you can't do this. Like add it in firmware, just do it. So instead we have this little 3D printed gimbal lock that slots between the camera and the handle to lock the camera in place. So now you have a normal, just non-gimbal, non-moving camera, which can be great for a few different scenarios, some of which we're gonna talk about in just a second. Two downsides to this. First, if you move the camera too much, a little gimbal protection warning pops up on here and tells you that you shouldn't be doing that because it's not supposed to be doing that. I'm pretty sure that the gimbal motors are strong enough this isn't actually going to be an issue, but it can be a little bit hard to actually view the screen because this warning will pop up, and then even if you hit exit, it'll still pop up again in just a little bit. So it's not going to be perfect. Second, I got this from Josh Yo of Make Art Now at NAB a few weeks ago, and I'm pretty sure he's still messing with prototypes. Hey, Kyle from the future here. So I just spoke to Josh. These are now available on his website. He was still working on the prototypes, but they're done now. They're ready. I'll link to those in the description. You should definitely go buy some because, you know, supporting a fellow creator, it's cool that he found a solution to a common problem. Okay, so now you've got your Motion VFX that's powering your edits. You're gonna make sure you want to power your Pocket 3 as well. So this one's a little bit of a no-brainer, but it's the DJI battery handle. This is a 950 milliamp hour battery that extends the grip and adds about 60-ish% more runtime to your Pocket 3. Honestly, I feel like this is pretty straightforward and it goes really well with the BRDRC because it just kind of like, it feels really nice in the hand, and then, you know, that handle's not getting in the way. I like that you can charge both the battery and the Pocket 3 with just one USB-C, and then we still have a quarter 20 on the bottom if we want to mount anything else to it. And then another pretty obvious one is a mic. Now, honestly, I'm pretty impressed with the onboard mic, but you do need to be pretty close to the Pocket 3 for it to sound good. And honestly, good audio is very important for the overall quality of your videos. So you're gonna wanna get one of the DJI mics. You can do either the DJI Mic 2 or the DJI Mic Mini. Honestly, they're both great. I've done videos discussing each of them in more detail extensively, so I won't spend too much time on it here again, but you can watch those videos, which I'll link in the description. My advice to you is honestly just get whichever one fits your budget the best. The DJI Mic 2 is better, but the DJI Mic Mini is totally fine. And if you don't want to spend out the full amount for the full kit, you could also just buy one transmitter because it's going to sync directly to the Osmo Pocket. Bonus points if you go with the DJI Mic 2. This actually slots in on the side of the BRDRC thing. So like, again, they really thought of everything on this thing. Okay, and then the last one on my accessory list is one of these suction mounts. So these will let you mount your Pocket 3 to a window or a car to get some really interesting and unique perspectives. There's a bunch of options out there, and you can kind of scale up and down what you get based off of how fancy you want to get. You could go with this one, which is the Kofi Cup, which is a collab between Kofi, my buddy, and Condor Blue. And then you could get a friction arm to add to it, and then you mount your Pocket 3 in whatever position you desire. And then if you want to lock the gimbal, you can use one of the fancy new gimbal locks as well. If you want something a little bit more robust, you can go with the Move Max arm, which adds a fourth dimension of stabilization to take out some of that camera shake as you go over bumps. Both of these solutions work great for automotive work, or if you just want to get a unique perspective that'll impress your audience that they weren't used to seeing. All right, so that's my list, but I am super curious if there's any that I missed and any that you love. If I did, drop me a note in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.